Wunsch will keep things crazy. As you guys can see, here is the schedule. Right now, this is the pre-show part. We're gonna get into the lower bracket as they have to win a lot of games to get out of here. It's all best of fives. Tomorrow, we're gonna finish things up with the grand finals and the final rounds, and we'll crown a champion. Someone's gonna get 20 grand, a lot of money to Muslim.
Certainly is, Nathanius. And everybody here so far, I think they've made $1,250 minimum.
Correct.
Making it this far. So
correct.
Nice.
Quite a bit of money on the line. Like, I can't remember the last time top 12 players got paid out in a live tournament like this.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. The competition is fierce, though. I'm really excited to look at the bracket just because I feel like it's been drawn in a very interesting way that kind of sets up what you guys were talking about earlier, the non-Korean finalists. And I think it's beautifully illustrated here. You have TY and Bomber. One of these guys is going to be eliminated in the first round of the lower bracket, and Parting and Solar will knock one of each other down to possibly, I'm not 100% sure, but they could actually play against the winner of TY Bomber as well.
Yeah. And I think that Solar definitely favored in the winner bracket game. That's going to be like the last couple of games. We start with the lower bracket, so we do all the lower bracket games first, then lower round 2. And then we go up to the winners' games. But I think Solar's favored, but I also believe that Firecake or Nurture could beat Solar too, up there.
Quite possibly. I think Nurture would be the most likely candidate to advance to that winners' bracket final. And Solar already expressed a little bit of concern about CVC not really being a fan of the matchups. So I think Nurture or possibly even Firecake has a real shot there, but I think Nurture is the favorite in that winning bracket semi number 2.
Other interesting things to note, looking at the way that first round sets up, TY and Bomber have played in the StarCraft Invitational. They've already got a little bit of matchup against each other. Likewise, actually, Parting and Solar both competed there. But puCK, if Bomber were to beat TY and puCK were to advance past TLO, he crushed Bomber 2-0 yesterday to finish the night. So it's possible that things still stay really freaky, really crazy, and generally uncomfortable for people that like following normal stats.
I also like that there's 3 Germans left too. I mean, France has been doing really well in StarCraft most recently, but they lost 2 big players yesterday, Patrick Drogo and also Lobo. So it's the Germans that are equal with the Koreans in this, which I think is pretty cool to see.
It is really cool to see. Like, Germany's always had like a widespread talent pool, and they've always had really good like national tournaments such as EPS and what have you. But you never have a player that really leaps to the next level, whereas right now, like, Showtime's the one that's really carrying the flag and has been for quite a while, but you can never forget about TLO when it comes to WCS and stuff. Like, he had multiple top 8 finishes, seasons and seasons in a row, so Germany's looking really strong, and Lambo joins the fray now.
I'm just glad that, you know, we've got one bald eagle here. I'm very excited to see how he does.
Yeah, that's also good to see. puCK deserves it too. puCK is actually a really, really good player, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday. He's never really had a lot of opportunities. He's had some, obviously, but not as much as the European players have. So it's actually good that he's taken this one, and it'd be fantastic to see him go through, but I think it's going to be a difficult match for him.
I think that the overall, the tournament format definitely makes it a bit better for a player like puCK, because most of the offline tournaments an American player could compete in over the last few years have been completely open. So you're always up against, you know, several Koreans, like dozen plus. It makes it very hard. Obviously, you know, traveling out on your own dime or sponsor dime to come play in Europe, it's not easy to get out here. But the way that the qualification system worked out, a lot of these players have a really realistic chance to really cement themselves as one of the strongest non-Koreans, and I think this is the best opportunity that puCK has had.
Also, like, as you talked about earlier, that bracket is insanely unfortunate for Bomber and TY. Like, in the groups, they both went 3-2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and now they're facing each other in the first round of the loser bracket. So by loser bracket round 2, we'll literally be down to 1 Terran already.
Yeah, sad day for Terrans here.
Baby rage.
Sorry, boys.
It's okay. This is what we needed.
It's not fair.
For action to be done.
Yeah, that's true, right? It's like, we think we lost, but really, we win. I think that's all that really
Taking one for the
matters.
team.
Taking one for the
By
team.
the way, really impressed with Firecake. I didn't expect him to top that group.
It's really good. Yeah, Firecake definitely impressing. That's the thing though, is the French players, like we talk about like, oh, who's really been hot or whatever, but you know what, actually forget everything I was gonna say. The next match is ready. You guys have probably watched us rather StarCraft. To Muslim and Snoop. Have fun.
Well done, Nate.
Well, thank you, Nathanius. That was quite the intro. So Yen's going to be TLO, your teammate, up against puCK next.
That's true.
Or ZvP, how do you feel about this? I know that yesterday you talked about how you feel the Zerg might have a little bit of an edge here.
Yeah, especially now that it's a best of 5, and we'll get to see even more of these crazy, crazy maps.
And we have the vetoes here.
We do. First map is going to be a fairly standard one. Orbital Shipyard will be going into that game pretty much right now. And we also have Larry-like Crest, Dusk Towers, some fairly standard maps there. Ceres, but also Central Protocol, a map that we didn't see all that much yesterday.
So to introduce our players, spawning in the bottom left side of Orbital Shipyard as our Red Protoss, it is puCK. Looking with a smile there.
Yeah,
relaxed
we could see
puCK.
this from puCK yesterday also, I believe. Just a little bit of funny things going on with the heart in the chat against Happy. Just a very funny character at times. But here in the top from Team Liquid, it is TLO. Looking very focused this time. No gummy bear eating just yet.
He's got to save those for as each player leaves the tournament. Now, ZvP, normally I'd look at these matchups and be like, okay, we're probably going to see some very orthodox play here, very standard, but whenever I watch TLO, I can never expect the standard. So do you know anything special, given that you are his teammate, about his ZvP in particular?
I think right now is probably far more comfortable with this matchup compared to before. Like before, I would probably see TLO doing things like burrowed circling at Protoss player's third, trying to deny that, going for some sort of unorthodox timing to throw the Protoss player off. But so far, from what I've seen in Legacy, he just seems to open very macro-oriented and defending. We saw this against Lilbo yesterday, just TLO sitting back and dealing with the incoming pressure. And
3 hatch before pool. Now, is this susceptible to anything right now in Legacy of the Void?
Absolutely is, but those builds are the builds that actually counter triple hatchery before spawning pool are also very gimmicky, very coin flippy, and if you face anything but a triple hatch before pool, then you're probably going to lose. Builds like Proxy Gateway, pretty much the only safe and sure way to actually punish this, and even then sometimes if you mess up, you can actually still lose. So
yeah, I've seen games in the past where I believe I saw like a 4 Proxy Gateway against somebody going like proxy or like hatches and such, and still inevitably lost. But yeah, right now, as these builds commence, we have, is that a Nexus? So the Nexus is done in the natural. Yep. He's producing 2 probes at a time. He's going up to 2 gateways. What do you see him doing with this? Because so far this looks very reminiscent of the builds that we've seen quite a few Protoss do, where they push with Stalkers, but he's actually making adepts here.
We saw this a lot yesterday. Stalkers being used together with the Mothership Core and offensive pylons to use the pylon overcharge. This is something you could do on this map as well by dropping the pylons below this tiny ramp here on Orbital Shipyard. But it only seems to be adept pressure here, a little bit more traditional, a little bit more standard. The Stalker pressure, I feel, is a little bit more of an edgy way to play, whereas the Adepts is just a very safe all-round way to start off the game here.
Adepts very good against Zerglings, 2-shotting Zerglings. They have decent health too. If they get into the bases here, and I guess switching between the bases on this map is particularly frustrating. If you only have Lings to deal with it, you can it can get a bit dicey very quickly.
If you have enough Zerglings, then it's fine. And I think TLO is getting 8 Lings. It's a little bit cutting it, but his economy early on was so great. He's up to 6 Queens pretty much, and then 8 Zerglings can do it just fine. Might take a few drone losses in the third if the Lings are out of position, but it should be fine. I don't see puCK doing a whole lot of damage with this, only for scouting purposes.
Now, with the early Evo, do you just see
TLO could bait it, though. If these go in, they see no Zerglings. Nah, playing it safe. I like that move from puCK, just being
scouting.
A bit conservative.
Yeah, trying to scout with those shades rather than committing fully.
And you never know how many Lings are in there, so it's better not to risk it. So good move there from puCK. Don't want to commit, even if it seems like a good idea a lot of the time.
So that very early +1 from TLO again for his Lings. That worked out to great success yesterday against Lilbo, holding off the all-ins, especially with Queen support.
And, not started Zergling speed yet. I expect that to come up shortly, but here from puCK, we actually have a little bit of a aggressive opening with the Warp Prism and Chronoboost going into the Warp Gate. Some heavy pressure going to come in here, and just like HuK also did yesterday, puCK also made a sentry, so we could see some force field on the ramp action here.
Yeah, and we even saw in other matchups, such as puCK against Happy, how puCK used to like to use that ramp against Happy to his advantage. Just snuck in there, force fields were down,
Absolutely.
and immediate damage was done. In fact, game-ending damage almost immediately.
But the difficult part about this map is that the natural base of Zerg is in base, so I'm expecting this force field to go down on the ramp and then for puCK to engage the third base. But if TLO has enough units in position, then it's going to be very difficult for puCK to do something here. And even if he gets into the main, there's still so many reinforcements to deal with from that primary and secondary hatchery that I don't think this is going to do fatal damage, but
He's
perhaps a
gearing
follow-up.
up, though.
6 adapts, though. This is a very, very heavy commitment from puCK.
Oh, and look, he's seen the chrono boost on the gateways also. Now
That's
he's walking onto
massive,
the
massive tell. And TLO is actually going for a Baneling Nest, which is a little bit unusual here, but it's going to work wonders against these adapts because they're you can just splash over them and take them down.
Uh-oh, this is a lot of adepts rushing in here. Is he going to fake this? Is he going to just stay at the front?
I think he's going to commit here.
Wow, he does commit. The Ling upgrade isn't done yet. No Banelings are finished either. Not even Ling speeds. These adepts getting a lot of work done against these Zerglings.
But will they be able to take down the Queens? And here come the Banelings as well.
Yeah, the damage against Queens is
Oh,
not
and the
sufficient.
force field on the ramp. This
Oh,
is
man.
massive. Amazing,
look-
amazing tactics there from puCK.
And look, more
TLO's
adepts
locked
join the
out.
fray. What can TLO do at this point? He's locked out of his third base for a
Oh,
very long time
But
here.
look, he's getting a Nidus where we could see some sort of two-base
He's-
counter-attack here.
He's Nidus. Oh my god, this is actually very exciting. Do you feel that that's the right move here?
Well,
Or do you feel
at
there's-
this point, when you see that force field on the ramp and the adept shades escaping, you're like, oh crap, I really messed this one up.
Wait.
puCK might be.
I was kind of curious as to why he was moving up the ramp. I feel that this is a
Yeah,
free
it was
kill on
too
the third.
soon. Yeah, you just want to kill this third and then take it from there. We see puCK transitioning into disruptors behind this. I like that a lot.
That was a very clutch force field there. You don't want to let any
really
units down
drops.
the ramp.
These overlords are transport overlords.
Oh,
So you
look
can
at
actually
these-
drop on top of these sentries and
Oh, he's
be able to go
transfusing the
down.
overlords even, trying to kill the sentries with his banelings, but it didn't work
it's a
out.
cute move, but it doesn't work out. So puCK just has this third base position on lockdown. The force field on the ramp still proving to be strong against players that don't use Ravagers all that much. But the Nidus counter attack is happening in the third base of puCK. So let's see if TLO can accomplish something with that. But with these army supplies, 67 army supply for puCK going up against only 28. Despite TLO having a lot of cool upgrades like the +1 melee, the Baneling Nest being there, it's still not going to be enough, I believe.
No, this doesn't look like a healthy situation, and lots of Zerglings trapped on the ramp with those Zergling killing units such as Adepts there, and even a third going up behind this. Yes, there is a Nidus Worm going down at the third, but there's not really enough units on the field for TLO to do anything. Trying to whip out Zerglings, Mutas, Spine Crawlers, but this is an army of puCK that cannot be stopped at this point, although these Spine Crawlers are very tough to kill for these light killing units.
If TLO can make it back from here, it would be one of the crazier comebacks we've seen in a while.
Wow, he's even trying to put up that third right in puCK's face there, and all those drones are still alive, so worker count-wise, he's actually not looking too unhealthy here.
Very good presence here from puCK, presence of mind. Seeing this Nidus Worm, putting down the pylons, I don't think it's going to accomplish all that much. The Queens don't have the transfuse to actually be able to heal this Nidus Worms, to disrupt the shots. That's
Wow.
it. Game on lockdown. Very clean and cool execution. Very fancy tactics here from puCK. Looking very happy about that first map win.
He made it look easy. He really did.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
just
yeah.
made a lot of adepts, a few sentries, and man, those force fields on the ramp.
Very, it's very strange to me to see. Like we all thought that the Ravager and the people don't make as many sentries as they used to in Heart of the Swarm. But we've seen it so much during this tournament, how effective the sentry has been. Just a force field on the ramp. So many tactics and strategies just centered around this force field on the ramp.
Yeah, it
Tactic.
almost became a bit of what was thought to be a redundant unit, you know? Like, I didn't really think sentries were used that much in this matchup anymore.
And I think
Purely because of Ravager.
It's really clever from the Protoss players because they know that the Zergs kind of want to. I mean, Ravagers are strong, but at the same time, you don't really want to make them because you can get Mutas, which are even more awesome, and then you can get Lurkers, which are even better. So Protoss players are really punishing Zergs here for not playing as conservatively or safely as they should be.
So what units do you go for early game personally?
I tend to get the Roach Warren. It doesn't feel amazing because it's a very big mineral investment, but I usually get the Roach Warren in case of stuff like this. But at the same time, if you see a lot of sentries, then you know that the technology of the Protoss is pushed very far back because they invest so much gas into the sentries, and then you know that, yeah, I should probably make some Ravagers to deal with this gateway assault that's going to come. But with the opening that puCK went for here, he opened with Adepts, a very gaslight unit.
Yeah.
It leaves a lot of room for technology. But that technology was not a Stargate, was not a DT. It was just a sentry. And TLO didn't scout that sentry. There was no circling, moving out on the map, moving to puCK's gateway at the front. So he didn't know that. And even if you scout 1 or 2 sentries, 2 is a bit suspicious. But even if you scout 1 sentry, it's like, yeah, I guess my opponent has a sentry. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a force field on the ramp. So I suppose TLO could have prepared a little bit better positionally, having those queens at the front, making sure to have a little bit more defense in the third base. And I don't know though. The thing with the Adepts Shades is that they can go through the force field, and that makes this a very, very cool interaction. There's a lot of tactics, and we saw puCK actually use that to full effect here.
It feels that TLO's style is still very Heart of the Swarmy, in which Zerg wants to kind of build alone. But I feel in Legacy of the Void, Zerg has the opportunity to be very aggressive, while still like being so strong early game that you can still macro up behind it very, very effectively. And whenever you're being aggressive, it always puts your opponent into a horrible position in which you have to respect the Zerg early game, because if you don't, you're going to die.
That's true, that's true. But at the same time, I feel like Legacy of the Void has been out for a little bit of time, and I feel like Protoss players have adjusted very, very well to the early Ravager attacks, for example, or Speedling, Ravager, pressure type of builds. And I tried it a little bit in practice myself also, and actually going on the offensive with these Ravagers can be surprisingly difficult, especially against openings such as Adept into Stargate, where they get a Void Ray. If it's microed properly, your Ravagers, sure, they can shoot, but they don't necessarily hit someone who's actually skilled at using the Void Rays. Oracle, same story. They can sap down Links very easily, Ravagers as well, very nimble, swift units. Even some players have done very well using Immortals to deal with that type of attacks as well. So I feel like most Zerg players just want to use the strength of Zerg, just get to a very high drone count. And then if Protoss players try to do something like this, then just defending.
So we'll be getting into the second game of the series. It is currently TLO with a 0-1 deficit here up against puCK. Small pause to start off the game. We were in our game watching posture right there. Did you manage to see the name of the map?
It's Layer-like Crest, and actually cross positions.
How do you feel about that?
Much. It should be good for TLO.
Good for TLO?
It takes a little bit longer for the War Prism to fly all the way over. There's not that much airspace for the War Prism to be around. There's some, but I think cross positions should favor the macro style of TLO. At least that's what he showed in his games versus Little Ball and in the first game here.
Still that ramp, though, that separates your main from your natural.
Absolutely, there's still a ramp. This is not central protocol. This map definitely has a ramp that you can drop force fields on. So TLO has to watch out, as puCK has shown a lot of force fielding on the ramp. But anyway, here in the top right of Layer-like Crest, playing for Flipside, it's puCK. No cheering at the camera just now, just focusing, trying to close this one out.
Serious business now at this stage of the tournament, and spawning on the opposite side in the bottom left corner as our blue Zerg here, it is Liquid's TLO.
Going for a little bit more of a conservative opening, the hatch first into spawning pool. No triple hatchery just yet. And
puCK was going right for a Nexus first on this map, a very open map indeed too to do it on.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky, but we saw a very... we've seen good defenses of one-base builds in this tournament, and like I said earlier, I don't think TLO really wants to close this game out early. I feel like he's confident in the longer games, so even if it would be a great idea to maybe flip a coin once in a while and punish that Nexus first, you might as well just be confident in your abilities to win in the long game.
So I asked earlier, what can Protoss do to punish a fast 3 hatch before pool build? And you talked about the proxy gates and such, but you can't know before you do it. It has to be like a gamble right early on.
Yeah.
Are there any builds that Zerg can do to punish Nexus first, necessarily?
I mean, there's always the one base. It can work out if the Protoss players makes a lot of mistakes, and in general you can get to cancel, but also if the map is very big, it takes a long time for the Speedling reinforcements to come over, so it's a little bit of a... It can work sometimes, but Yeah.
A gamble as always.
Yeah, you never know what type of build you're up against, so you can do it, sure, but it's not a guaranteed success, whereas if you macro, then there's always, it's a little bit more soft, and if you play very, very well, you should be able to take it that way. But of course, a gasless opening like this from Zerg, we've also seen ways for Protoss to punish it, using the Stalker and the Mothership Pylon Rush attack, you know. There's a lot of things that Protoss can do, but there's no definite free win.
Very reminiscent build from the first game from puCK here, going for the double gateway, and he produces his second gateway at the same time as his cybernetics core, then gets out 2 adepts to go on the map. They can't really be killed at this stage of the game, as there are no speedlings available, and he gets to scout quite a bit. And here, takes out the early Zerglings, doesn't really get to scout anything there, just gets to see, hey, this is quite a well-saturated natural.
TLO sees the double adepts, going to make a few extra Zerglings to deal with it, and this is where we see the same transition from puCK here, 2 sentries in production. And the third Nexus, this is different. There's no Warp Prism, there's no robotics on the way just yet, but a really, really fast third Nexus, and puCK is going to use the Mothership core here to knock down the rocks here on this map. And very smart usage of the map layout here from puCK, taking that early third and making sure to secure it as quickly as possible.
Oh, man.
Even getting a drone snipe here in the natural.
This is really smart play by puCK. He's just very, very scary, showing everything that he did the first game,
Yeah.
but
then
doing a very, very opposite build. He's playing to economy.
a little bit of another extension here from puCK, though, going to lose these 2 adepts, but...
Or is he?
Or is he?
I mean, those adepts are pretty darn good.
Great positioning between the mineral lines, and both adepts are going to escape.
Oh man, this is really fancy play. And look, we see the 44 worker lead against 38, which, while not super significant, it is something. Getting the adept upgrade here. So what army composition do you think we're going to see from puCK this game?
The adept upgrade is a little bit puzzling to me, but I guess it caught on to the fact that TLO did not make the Roachworm and did not make the Ravagers in the first game, so maybe he expects TLO to go into this circling heavy mid game. Circling Banelings.
Do you know which advantage he also has? He got to see Lilbo against TLO, and every game TLO went for the same composition, which was this Ling style, a lot of Queens, then going into Muta.
And skipping Ravagers a lot of the time. Now TLO is going to finally see this third base, and if puCK, for example, shows that he's producing probes right now, he can completely trick TLO. And TLO has not yet seen the fact that puCK has 6 gateways warping in his main base.
Oh man, this is...
But he does see the gases on the third not being taken, but honestly, at this stage of the game, that's not unreasonable. So TLO, he's just droning happily right now, and I'm really concerned for him.
I love the Baneling Nest addition, though. That's something that can definitely wipe out huge clusters of adepts.
Absolutely.
At least if there aren't force fields in the way, but you can bait out the force fields in lots of ways. And here, TLO, he's not using these Lings to deal damage, he's just using them to scout and be a little bit of a threat where he can.
And the thing about the adepts, as I mentioned earlier here on this map in cross positions, adepts have to walk very, very far. I mean, they have the shades, which can boost their speed a little bit, but they still need to protect the sentries unless this Warp Prism here picks the sentries up. But so many sentries, 5 sentries?
It's a lot of units.
That's so confusing to me. These sentries could have been here a lot sooner. I mean, they're not going to have energy.
You're totally right. If you produce sentries earlier, they're a unit that gathers energy over time, so producing 5 sentries now...
I'm not sure if that's too optimized for puCK here. Like, puCK has made so many probes, and that left him with quite a lot of gas. He could have easily just cut probes and made more units, but here we go. Here's the big attack. How is TLO going to stop this?
We'll get to see very soon. These Banelings don't have speed, so they're quite easy to force field off here. And this army of puCK does deal quite a lot of damage against Lings, but lots of Banelings being warped in here.
I like how TLO is using the Spike Crawler here, using the range just to zone puCK out. Going to lose a Queen for it. No more Transfuse in this fight. Will fall eventually, and these sentries now can actually force field everywhere. And there's no Roaches or Ravagers to actually deal with this.
Oh wow, quite a few Banelings did march through there, but quickly puCK managed to put a force field in the way, so these Baneling connects.
Look at the army splat, look at it.
Oh.
It's looking very, very great for puCK right now. Also going to take down the Baneling nest, so no more Banelings, and the only thing TLO can spend gas on, wow, big explosions going down there. But look at these force fields, they're blocking everything, there's no Ravagers to deal with this.
These are pretty clutch force fields, but where's the anti-air, Snoop? Where's the anti-air? There's a lot of units on the field now, and it's only sentries that can shoot up.
That's actually a lot of units. Maybe puCK will be in trouble after all, but these sentries though, sentries doing so well against the Mutas here.
Oh, but more
even
Mutas joining the fray.
Shield.
Is he going to be able to deal with this? I mean, this is a lot of Mutas on the field. He's going to clean up all the anti-air, and
But
Yes,
look at
puCK's
the
getting away.
damage. Look at the damage that puCK is causing here to this natural. It's fallen, and TLO does have a 4th base, but is it complete? I'm not even sure.
I believe
Either
it
way,
is. And he
if
kept
the
most of
4th
his
is
workers
complete,
alive.
then this is not as bad for TLO as it could have been, because puCK really doesn't have an answer to his tech play, this Mutaflock. Even if he killed off a lot of them, this game is going to equalize.
What a clutch hold by TLO. I mean, that looked very, very gnarly and almost game-ending, but out
so
of
scary.
nowhere, he managed to get out a large number of mutas and deal with that, and puCK was taken totally unaware there to the air switch.
And at this rate, the main base of puCK is going to mine out, but look at all these Blink Stalkers. They're going to be able to deal with the mutas quite well. But eventually, over time, TLO has the +2 melee upgrade coming in for his Zerglings, and you know, those can really put some damage onto these Blink Stalkers.
They can work magic, but these Blink Stalkers are accompanied by Adepts, which deal with Lings exceptionally well, especially with the Adept upgrade. And
That's
puCK,
a very good point.
he's not giving TLO the time of day. And if he just walks over to that left base there, if he knows about it, but I don't believe he does.
I believe Ravagers would completely demolish this army here from puCK, but TLO is not opting to go for those, rather trying to do well here. A couple of mutas getting low there, one getting picked off, but puCK making a little bit of a mistake here, and TLO is immediately capitalizing on it, killing off 6 Blink Stalkers. That's massive for TLO, and he's going to need it because this attack is right at his front door.
Right at his front door, and more Adepts being walked in here. We do have a large Stalker count for those mutas, but it's really the Lings that are dealing all the damage here.
More sentries coming in. They can actually force fill their ramp. If they have a little bit more energy, they can lock TLO's Zerglings out of his own base.
Oh, TLO's running his Zerglings to his main base. This is kind of dangerous here, as they can be all locked into the main base.
Oh, we could see a base trade. We could see like a Bly-esque base trade here, and I think TLO is actually making the right call here. He cannot fight his army head-on, especially when the sentries get their Guardian Shields and their Force Field's energy. Guardian Shield is so strong, so TLO is going to make this game look crazy right now.
Oh man, these mutas need to get out of that base alive. He can't afford losing any units here. But TLO's army, this will massacre the probe line on every base. But
look at all the cannons and the pylon overcharge in the 3rd base. This 3rd base of puCK is a stronghold. Sure, the main and the natural may fall, but TLO is causing so much
play
trouble
by
here.
both of them. They're both prepared for the base trade before either one really knew what was happening. This game has got out of control insanely quickly.
Now, what's really important here is the final army supply, because how to say this, puCK, I don't think this base is going down, to put it like that. But however, if TLO somehow can kill off big portions of puCK's army, then he can catch it off guard, destroy it, and then win in the macro game, because puCK will be locked down to only one base without an army. I don't agree with this though. The pylon overcharge DPS is so high, you don't want to go in there, TLO. That is a death trap.
Yes, that is a fortress if I have ever seen one. And TLO, I think he's going to have to start thinking about coming home and dealing with this army, but with what? Like, does he really have enough here?
I think he's going to have to bring absolutely everything. He has to somehow deal with these sentries and force fields. He has to take the best engagement possible in an open area. This is so risky from TLO. He could get caught off guard here.
He could, and puCK's taking a really good position
behind the
minerals.
Look at how puCK is taking this position behind the minerals here, dropping some very nice force fields, zoning out all the links, and the Guardian Shields are active. TLO very, very well sniping those sentries. Getting the Guardian Shield out of the equation is so important for those mutas to deal their extra damage.
That was really clean back off from TLO there. Most of the time that you see a player take a fight and then run away from it, and he tends to lose out quite a lot, but that was perfect by TLO. Quite a group of units in front of the minerals that he just managed to snipe off.
And TLO also has the creep helping him out here. Spreading that creep is so important. Without it, this engagement would have been so much more difficult, especially the retreat.
TLO expanding like a madman. I really like the top left expansions, but this bottom right or bottom left one in his natural again, that one's rather risky, but I guess he's going for the unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think puCK will actually expect there to be a base there. But maybe TLO is actually overexpanding a little bit. He's taking this hatchery and he's making 4 spines at the same time, and the 4 spines tell me...
those lings were on the wrong side of a rock there, quite literally. But
by breaking down those rocks, TLO is kind of telling puCK that, oh, I'm so vulnerable, please don't attack into me. But actually, with 4 spines in production, I think TLO wants puCK to attack into him.
Oh, but puCK's actually having quite a lot of decent
trades.
Oh,
this is a risky spine movement. This could be blocked out, but puCK is being a little indecisive. Sees it though, not going to jump on it just yet. Goes for another pickoff, gets a muta with that blink.
Man, this is such patient play by both of them, and these armies that they have doesn't look like they're going to be rebuilt anytime soon. The worker count not growing immensely from either player. puCK down to 1 mining base now. Does see the natural again with a small group of units.
That's so silly, so silly. This base is going to get picked off, unfortunately for TLO. A couple of units here in the top, they could be picked off if TLO maneuvers his army. But look at these blinks from puCK, just beautiful zoning, always picking off 1 muta here and there, and it's so expensive for TLO. He's losing a lot over time here.
I love this attack with Lings, just picking off what buildings he can. There was a chrono boost on the Robo, which...
all Lings going down. This could be so bad for TLO.
This... Yes, he's being a little bit careless with his units here. This is a lot of spine crawlers.
The spine wall. The spine wall was in perfect position. The puCK sees this, but the army's just so massive right now. 107 army supply against 50.
Yeah, this is not looking good for TLO. And 5 spine crawlers down for absolutely nothing. And this base going for counterattacks right now as TLO.
This is the fortress, man. You don't break this Protoss fortress. It's too strong. The mothership core is there. You know, he could go in and dive at the mothership core, but look at the range of this defense. It's too much. The mutas are taking so much damage. And there's no Artosis pylons. These are all backed up by the tasteless pylons.
Yeah, these are tasteless. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're making jokes like that, Stu. But yeah, I mean, this is really nice sniping on the Nexus, though. He's managed to find a little bit of a hole here that he's only taken a bit of cannon damage. But while all this is going on, he's still taking damage, and puCK's army is just not getting slowed down by anything whatsoever.
Yeah, you can snipe the Nexus, but Photon Overcharge is not cast on the Nexus anymore. It's cast on the pylons. You have to kill the pylons somehow, or the Photon cannons, or both. You need to kill everything, and it's damage is just not there from TLO. And I think shortly he's going to realize that this game most likely is going to be a win for puCK.
9 more muta. Oh, okay. GG is called, and puCK takes a 2-0 lead in this series. And puCK looking very, very content with himself, and rightly so, because that game started off rather. Well, he killed the natural, sure, but his army got cleaned up pretty easily. And then
yeah, that was definitely a scary moment for him. But falling back on those Blink Stalkers seemed very comfortable with the control of those, always having great blink engagements, blinking towards the mutas, picking one off, but still not overextending, not getting caught off guard by the circling flocks. Just a very good blink control here from puCK.
And without relying on roaches or ravagers.
Yeah, I think TLO maybe at this point has to adapt and actually get that safety roach warren in case something like this is on the way.
Just having Adepts and Stalkers, that's the perfect counter to Muta Ling. Adepts deal with Lings so well. They're actually very, very beefy too. And just having Lings, no matter how many armor upgrades you get, like Adepts are going to 2-shot them. That's just their job to kill Lings. And with the damage upgrade too,
it's their job.
It is their job, and they do it exceptionally well.
And they do it better than Zealots.
Yes, exactly. So I feel that TLO has to start kind of adjusting his army composition early on.
Yeah, I agree. Ravagers would have completely demolished that first army. The Adepts don't deal bonus damage to them. The Stalkers don't deal that much damage to the Ravagers either. I think the Ravagers would have been a great way to hold the first attack.
It's always tough, though, when you practice and maybe Lings went perfect and he never went up against the star before. The game's so young that new styles and really solid styles haven't really been... And the styles that we see now, we probably won't see again like anytime soon, you know?
Yeah, I think what TLO is trying to go for here is the upgraded circling style with mutas, which is fantastic against Mass Blink Stalker with Disruptor follow-up, for example. It's great against War Prism openings where you drop the Disruptor and try to... you know, it really shuts that down hard. And it worked amazingly versus Lilbo yesterday. But puCK is really switching things up here with these heavy Adept openings. And TLO has to adapt to that now.
Yeah, you're totally right. Lilbo relied a lot more on Stalkers, which has been his way of killing Zergs for so many years, even in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
You know, Lilbo gets 3 bases, 66 probes, and just goes with Stalker Sentry.
And it's kind of what puCK does as well, in a sense that he gets the bases, makes the units, but it's not pure Blink Stalker.
Composition.
It's Adepts and not really much anti-air at all. Just a few sentries to create a little bit of space control, and then mass Adepts, just so many Adepts, even with the Adept upgrade, and then later adding on those Blink Stalkers. But I believe also if puCK saw something else than pure Muta Ling, I'm pretty sure puCK also would go for a different response, not going for massive Blink Stalkers, for example, maybe going for Disruptors versus Ravagers, for example. So it seemed like a very versatile way for puCK to actually play the game out. It's
a real, like, he's playing really well. Like, he's a very aggressive. Like, both games we've seen aggression different forms. He kind of shows the same thing very early on with the 2 adepts and such. Does a little bit of damage, a little bit of poking here and there, kind of annoys his opponent, possibly making him overreact to just that attack. But then he went for the insanely fast third Nexus, whereas the first game he went
that's
just
true.
for
That was also so clever, just showing kind of the same thing from the first game, and then just distracting TLO with the adept opening.
And playing the map and the player.
Yeah, TLO didn't get the counter scout, so he never saw this fast third going down. And if he saw the fast third, I'm not even sure if he would have done anything different, because TLO, gotta give some credit to him as well, because he was pumping drones super, super hard while this adept harass was going on. So he was doing the right thing. It's just that the unit composition, he had the money, he had the infrastructure, but the unit composition that he went for, the Zerglings and Banelings, just wasn't the right choice against Mass Adept into Blink Stalkers. Ravagers would have completely shut the Adepts down.
Yeah, I mean, TLO did a lot of stuff right that we have to talk about too. Like, the fact that he managed to hold that off in the first place, wow.
That's quite impressive with a unit composition like that.
Also, the fact that he took a 4th while all that was going on, so by the time his natural did die, he just kind of Maynarded over.
Maynarded over.
And then, delaying the attacks as well. Like, with the Banelings, he was delaying. Adepts don't kill buildings fast, so one of their weaknesses is obviously spine crawlers trying to kill bases. But like catching the stalkers in the middle of the map as well. Like, he did a lot of things right, so it's not as if he's playing poorly.
No,
not at
absolutely.
All,
no. TLO's control was very, very good. The way he bought time, being patient, like you said, the army movement was very good from both players, I would say. Very good force fields from puCK. Very good baiting and army controls, I would say. A little bit of an unorthodox unit composition coming out from TLO, but the way that he used it was very, very well executed.
Now, third game of this series will be Dusk Towers.
Dusk Towers, another very big map. We just saw this Larry Lacrest game play out in cross positions, and I feel like the next one is not going to be all too different.
Dusk Towers is a map where you start off with a natural in the back of your base.
We've seen that already on the Orbital Shipyard game, the first one.
Now, do you think 3 hatch before pool is something that TLO is going to opt for here?
I would assume so. Absolutely. I don't see any cheese working on this map. It's very easy for the Protoss to wall off. You could go for something like a 12 pool, but no, it's just not really a thing. Here in the top of Dusk Towers, playing for Team Liquid, it is the Wonder Wunsch TLO.
The Wonder Wunsch.
Wonder Wunsch.
A name I gave him at a Home Story Cup one time. When a little intoxicated.
It's a very good name.
And spawning on the other side, as our blue Protoss, hailing from America, it is puCK. I've never seen somebody fail to squish up a carton before, but...
but did it get squished? This is unreal right now.
You know, I like it, and I see Nathaniel's laughing already, and he's immediately checking out Twitch to try and see it on.
Man, it's on right now.
Wow.
If this is a 3-0.
Man, the series...
Devastation.
Gummy bear eating.
It's happening.
Carton crushing.
It's happening. Gummy bear my ass.
Now...
You're gonna get crushed.
TLO placing the hatchery on the outer base rather than the inside one. Is this something you do mainly for creep spread? To deny the possibility... Or, in fact, if you take the backward expansion... In fact, if you take the forward expansion and you deny vision to the back one, they don't necessarily know if you're on 3 bases or not.
I'm so hyped right now.
This
match is so hyped.
I just see you not stop smiling ever since seeing the carton crushing.
Yeah, that was so hyped. Anyway, it doesn't really matter all too much with these triple hatchery before pool type of things. I can imagine if TLO drops a very early creep tumor, then yes, it does matter. TLO could, for example, set up a creep tumor here with the queen in the natural. You could drop a creep tumor with that, and then you can't use something like we saw from Parting or Lilbo, the offensive pylon block. But even on this map, I feel like that strategy is not exactly the strongest. We saw, didn't we see Lilbo try to do that yesterday, like placing this awkward pylon, trying to overcharge it, but it was really, really far away from the third hatch.
TLO just dealt with it very well. Like, he had better creep spread than other Zergs, because when we saw Parting do it, he managed to get the 3 pylons in between the natural and the third.
Yeah, and TLO adapted to that so well here on the fly. But so far in this series, he hasn't really been able to adapt to puCK's unit compositions in the same way. So TLO really has to adapt here, or he's going to get crushed, just like that can.
Just like that can that we saw puCK crush ever so confusingly. But looks like puCK is going for the double Adept, and yet again, so far, why change it?
Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it. This is so good for puCK.
I also love the pylon placement in this natural here. So pylons are now the building that you can overcharge. So putting a pylon right in the middle of all those probes, it's not only good against Zerglings, but it's good against mutas and such. Like,
yeah, it's good for every stage of the game. As long as you have the mothership core, you can overcharge. And whoa!
Fast third.
Before the sentries. Oh, TLO sees it this time though.
Perfect scouting from Dr. Dario over here.
And the Doctor doesn't show the Overlord.
Now, that's quite some information that he has garnered here without giving anything away. An Overlord did die, or did he do a multiple extractor trick here?
Was that a quad extractor?
I think it was. I just saw some evaporating extractor there. So
yeah,
Dario,
I just want to point out it's cute. It's not good though. Just make your Overlords on time.
How dare you judge?
Make your Overlords on time in the first place. That's better. But if you have to, then please do the extractor trick.
Oh, this is really good creep spread denial, by the way, with these adepts. They don't deal a lot of damage to buildings and such, but killing off a good 3 creep tumors there in total, I believe.
And
really
he sees
nice.
the evolution chamber, and TLO is playing the same way. But
oh wow, I can't believe he committed to that. Like
yeah, I wouldn't call that the best move, but I think this Adept is going to get out. If TLO had a few more Zerglings, then this Adept would be dead for sure, but it's actually out.
Wow.
Oh,
James
he could also
Bond.
snipe this one. TLO doesn't have the money to put down a hatchery just yet, and this is so annoying for TLO. The shields are regenerating on this Adept, and
Oh,
it
the
won't be able
standoff,
to
the
deny.
standoff, and TLO gets away with it, but
Too late.
I mean, it does mean that puCK gets to see exactly what he's up against, and this is a lot of gateways going up, but he's going for Blink first. And the Roach Warren goes down this game. This is a bit of a crazy series of events.
puCK is totally in TLO's head. I think TLO is expecting more Adept action, that's why it's getting the Roach Warren, and I do think getting the Roach Warren is a good choice. I think not getting it at this stage would be completely unreasonable, but it's truly some next level thinking here from puCK if he completely skips out of the Adepts and only makes Stalkers. But then again, if you only make Stalkers, TLO has that +1 melee upgrade, and those Zerglings are going to be pretty effective against those Stalkers.
I'm actually a little surprised at the lack of Forge from puCK in these games. Like, no attack upgrades at all. Yes, Adepts don't need them whatsoever against Zerglings, but the Stalkers highly benefit from those damage upgrades.
Yeah, that's true, but it seems like puCK really, really wants to end this just now. I think he's going to move out. I'm not sure if he has that many gateways though. Let's see, 7 warp gates. Alright, that should be quite a bit. I assume we could add on even more, going all the way up to 62 probes. So maybe not the punchiest attack we've ever seen, but it's going to hit quite hard. But TLO though, he's getting the Roaches, he's getting the Ravagers, and he does have the Circling upgrade as well. So this should be the proper unit composition for TLO to actually fight this off.
That is a lot of Stalkers knocking on his front door. 22 link Zergling speed has just finished 2 more. Ravagers walking in here. I really like TLO's chances of holding this off. If you ever was going to hold it off, it's with this army composition.
Exactly, this is so much easier. Oh, the Prism falls!
No more.
This is looking like a comeback from TLO so far. He even has the Spire almost finished to deal with this Warp Prism Robo Bay transition from puCK, and this attack is a disaster.
Oh, I love the fact that he walked up this cliff though, meaning if the Zerglings follow, he can just slowly blink down the cliff and evade that army. But TLO held off that attack, and all he needed to add was a few Ravagers, Jens.
Yes, Ravagers are very good when it comes to defending.
They're very good when it comes to attacking too.
Yeah,
They're very good.
More or less, they are very good.
But no, that was really smart and really clutch by TLO. Like, he mixed up his build a little bit. He added in the Ravagers. He's getting really decent upgrades here too. He's going to be at +2, +1, and getting the Muta upgrades too.
Obviously, making those Ravagers is not something that's entirely free. They cost 100 gas each, so that's 1 Muta less. But honestly, you need to survive these attacks from Protoss, and the Mutas are going to be there over time anyway, as you are droning up, as you're getting further technology. And these Mutas, if puCK is not prepared for them, he's going to take some damage.
Now, is this a matchup that you feel Zerg gets better as the game goes on?
It depends. I feel like there's a lot of potential in Sky Protoss, assuming that you're not too far behind, because then it's very easy for Zerg to play using a very high drone count. But
because I've read a Hearthstone tweet or two in my time now.
And what does he say, man?
He talks about lurkers. He's a little harsh towards lurkers, Jens.
Lurkers are quite strong indeed. So, you know, it's also a little bit why these Protoss players are being so aggressive, you know.
Wow, look at TLO. He's everywhere.
Oh, the War Prism is going to fall again.
Oh, man, this is a lot of...
And the Disruptor falls.
TLO's dealing with this perfectly. A huge flank. He distracted him with the little hit squad, which wasn't really destined to deal a lot of
even
damage,
forcing a Time Warp. That's going to mean no recall and a very limited amount of pylon overcharges here.
Time Warp, for those that don't know, it takes seconds to get going, but this Disruptor takes out one
gets the Ravager, that's great, but it's not what you need right now. That cooldown is quite long. And I think TLO is just going to dive in here. Will it be enough though?
Oh, these corrosive fires actually not really landing on any of the units, and I think TLO's overextending here.
Look at the minimap, look at all those units, even the awkward infestors in there coming along.
Oh.
TLO's army is getting caught off guard, and puCK really jumping on TLO's army, being so out of position. This is what's so dangerous about these big maps. Look at how many units were in. They were just trying to get across the map, but they were so slow. TLO didn't fight with his entire army, whereas puCK, in a very good, solid, safe defensive position, was fighting with his entire army, and puCK took a way, way better engagement.
He really handled that very, very well. And TLO, he's trying to buy time now. He's frantically trying to buy time, but getting units caught out in the middle of the map. A Zergling counterattack going on. And as we see in the production tab, he's trying to go for ultras, he's trying to go for cracklings. If he gets the time that he's trying to buy here,
is he going
he's
to
in great
snipe the
spot.
Nexus at the fourth?
He's going to snipe it.
Went down. But this is not what Ravagers in the shot!
Oh my
Massive
lord!
explosion there in the Ravagers, and all of a sudden TLO's army is looking so weak.
The Desro balls are out of control here, killing good 4 Ravagers or so, taking out the 4th base too. So while TLO, yeah, sure, he tried to buy time there, but puCK, he was having none of it. He knew he had an advantage, and he's going for it.
And such a simple overextension from TLO just caused him to be in so much trouble, and puCK immediately jumping on the counter-offensive, taking advantage of TLO's mistake here.
And these Disruptors here, they both have a shot available. TLO's doing what he can, but that is a lot of clustered Ravagers.
Can he get the Disruptor though?
Actually.
He gets it. But this second shot though, is he going to catch the Ravager? Only gets one. That was basically dead already.
Now, TLO, 4 Ultras on the way. Chitinous plating. He also has much better upgrades than puCK at this point in time, too.
It's a lot of Blink Stalkers, but if you can get that Chitinous plating out, those Stalkers don't really deal much damage at all. They just take all the Ultras, but will it be enough? The Chitinous plating is still so far away. I don't think TLO can protect the 3rd base at this rate.
No, 3 Ultras still on the way, 2 on the way now, so 2 are out, but there's not really much to support this, despite being at 150 supply.
Maybe puCK is being a bit too patient though, like he's really respecting these Ravager shots, but now he's going in. And I think TLO is actually running out of time here.
That was quite a ballsy blink though, in this...
Oh, but these shots though, massive shots landing on the Stalkers here. The Corrosive Biles dealing so much damage to these Ultras.
The Ultras, they're mowing him down! I can't believe TLO is doing this!
This is looking like unreasonable comeback here.
Unreasonable!
It's unreasonable. Those Ravager shots were not supposed to hit all of puCK's army there. And the Ultralists were just completely sandwiching everything from the left-hand side. TLO has to stay calm right now.
Look at this expo as well. TLO, amidst the madness, manages to get up a 5th base while his 4th did fall. So crazy play by him.
That's such an insane hold. But still, this game is going to drag on. I'm fairly confident that with an army composition this slow, TLO is not going to be able to counterattack without any creep whatsoever on puCK's half of the map. There is no creep here whatsoever. TLO wisely only using a few Zerglings, which are very nimble, even off creep, to poke a little bit here at the front.
I was really confused by puCK blinking in there.
Yeah, I know. Like
as soon as you get rid of that blink, that's when Corrosive Bile can deal damage. And then not only was it the Corrosive Bile, but it was having no blink and there's 4 Ultras munching on your army. That was one of the worst situations you could ever be in with blink.
And you can also just ask yourself, what does it take to get into that position below the hatchery? You could very well just right-click your army there, basically move command it over, and boom, you're in the position you want to be, and you still have your blink. Like that one blink was very uncalled for, and puCK was punished so hard for it.
Yeah, and you're totally right. Like, why was the urgency of blinking there?
there was not.
But you can just right-click there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily a good position either. Well, we saw that it wasn't really. Anyhow, what is this showing in the fray? Brood Lords on the way.
Another challenge for puCK to deal with here. He does have a lot of Blink Stalkers, and he already showed
nice moves.
the amazing Blink Stalker control that he has. The 5th base for puCK getting shut down, but he still has quite a bit of money to work with here.
Archons, Immortals being pumped out 2 by 2. So yes, he will deal with the old composition of TLO, which would consist of Ravagers and Ultras. TLO being so
Getting another
consistent
cancel
here.
despite pylon overcharges, but it's a bit expensive for TLO though. This game is quite scrappy. There's very few resources actually left in the main bases of both of these players. And
This army though, this is looking like quite the Bruiser army. And how many Broodlords are on the field right now?
I'm not sure. The question is though, in order to kill these Broodlords, will puCK go for another crazy Blink? There's one though, and the Fungal and Ravager combo! It's so strong. Is it going to be enough though?
These Ultras are falling incredibly fast, and the Ultras are kind of running away. The Broodlords, they're now very vulnerable
Oh,
here.
they're so exposed right now.
Oh,
Big
that is
forward Blink there.
4 Broodlords dying instantly, and now the Immortals can
Oh,
reign
but look
free.
at those Ravagers dealing so much damage to the Stalkers, but these Immortals being the MVPs here against the Ultralists. The Ultra falls, the Ravagers fall, the Broodlords fall. This expensive technology-heavy army from TLO is just not really enough against this brute force army from puCK.
TLO's got nothing left. The Stalker, Archon, Immortal combo with a few disruptor shots did it.
Oh, another Blink there, picking off the last Broodlord.
Man.
One more being morphed, a couple of Ultralists in production, but I don't think TLO is going to be able to rally his forces together here. And it's looking very grim here for the German player.
One
in this
angry
third game.
Ultralist goes in for a final attempt, but does get mauled down almost instantly, and a Broodlord also. TLO still trying, despite being 60 supply behind here. Transfusions and GG is called. puCK takes it 3-0. Very nice play by him in the series.
Crazy play there from puCK. Showing very aggressive openings, but also showing some very skillful play here in the macro game versus TLO here. Looking very happy with his performance.
Nice series by these guys.
This was a very clean and cool Protoss play.
And we are welcome
I'm
back
impressed
to the
about
panel.
this. As much as you can say that the Ravagers are horrible to fight against.
He's so excited about the series. Welcome back to the panel by Captain America and Apollo. Hello, guys. What do you think about that series, then?
Okay. You are?
Yeah. You
He's-
know what?
He is the captain of Team America.
America won this round, boys.
They did?
Staying alive.
Are you proud
here.
of your boy?
Yeah. puCK's been a good friend of mine for a very long time. I think I've been playing StarCraft with puCK since like 2011. He's always been good with his Warp Prism play, and I think he's been using that a lot in this tournament. He told me he used the Warp Prisms to win against Bomber as well with the Disruptors. Cute Disruptor volleys this series, and classic blink control from puCK as well.
I thought he almost threw it with that blink. I mean, you guys talked about it a lot, but he had so much money behind that he was able to get going again. But it was a really cool series. I think puCK played very good, and I'm really happy that he's got a top 8.
He showed very different styles in every game as well,
Yeah.
like, despite being very aggressive, which has always been like a cornerstone of Protoss play. But he did it with very different things, be it like an Adept Sentry push, the initial Adept push, and then into Sentry or into Stalkers as well. And then the final game, he went for a Stalk, like a Lilbo attack, which failed. Like, it did get shut down really hard, losing the Warp Prism instantly. But he managed to like fall back, regain composure.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like he faltered at all. He just kept on going, kept on pushing. That one blink, yes. Blinking into Ultras and Corrosive Bile.
Yeah.
It looked a bit gnarly for a little while.
But for that
But
one mistake, there was so many
Good moves.
good small fights as well.
yes.
Lots of good small moves.
Even the last fight, coaxing the Ultras away to make the army fall back, then pouncing on the Broodlords, taking out 4 instantly. Like a very good play by puCK.
He looked really good today, better than I've seen him play in a long time. And I think that the style that TLO played and the style that we saw from puCK really comes down to if you make mistakes, it's over instantly. Like missed force fields and bailings come crashing in, it's over. And he
Yes.
hit every single one, every single time.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looked like he was letting a few trickle through,
Yeah.
just so they'd die. And
Just
then, like,
to make you scream.
yeah, it's just like making, like, giving TLO hope just to break it down again, you know. But yeah, just very clean play by him. His Stalker control, his Sentry control, even the Adepts early on were very annoying. And he got the scouting information constantly. But also the fact that he saw the one Evo in that last game, and he chose to not just make Adepts against him.
I know. That's a very cool part.
Yeah, because like the first 2 games, obviously TLO stuck to the same thing, which was kind of failing. But then to read the same thing again, but then to make the leap of faith that I think TLO might change it up this game, and he did. It was quite clever, actually.
Yeah, it was a really great play by puCK. Glad to see the only American player left is still going at it. Let's hear what he has to say. He's over with Smix. So, puCK.
Well, I'm sure he's ecstatic, puCK. Congratulations. I'm sure you're very, very happy that your StarCraft 2 skills are a lot better than your can crushing skills. So you told me that apparently you did it before and you were successful?
Yeah, I did. I tried to do it the first time, but the cameraman didn't get it, and I completely dominated it. But then the second time, I completely biffed it, and of course, I was on camera.
Well, luckily, the games were the opposite. You were very, very strong in those games. Of course, games 1 and 2, very strong in your favor. Game 3, however, was really, really interesting. It kind of went back and forth. You know, TLO at first overextended, then you had that aggressive blink. Walk us through that game.
Well, I went off that game off the 2 previous games because I had a feeling that he was going to go Ling Muta, and I wanted to play comfortable, so I knew I had to all-in him the first 2 games to play my own style the 3rd game. So, like, even though there was quite a few mistakes and things I could have done better, I still felt comfortable because I really enjoy my Blink Stalkers. So, overall, I felt like I played a pretty good game.
And I'm just curious, do you as a player, how do you prepare for your games at a LAN event? I know every player has their own specific way. You know, some players like to prepare specifically for the player they're playing against. Some people just say, "Oh, I'm just going to play my own game." But particularly for you, how did you prepare for this?
For the most part, I stream most of my practice. I don't really prepare much builds offhand. I have ideas that I want to execute, and I'm just too lazy to do it off stream. But I kind of watched his games versus Little Bo, and I kind of had a good idea what to do, and that I did it, and it worked pretty well. So.
All right, well, your next opponent is either going to be TY or Bomber, and usually when you think of these names, it should be scary. But actually, these 2 Koreans are the ones that look very mortal at this tournament. They both lost twice yesterday. So and you actually beat Bomber 2-0 yesterday. So, I don't know, how do you feel going into that?
I feel just as fine as if it was anyone. Legacy is a very fresh game. I feel like anyone could almost do anything, to be quite honest. Overall, I feel pretty comfortable now compared to yesterday. Yesterday, I had a few iffy moments where I wasn't playing so well, but today I seem like I'm on top of my game for the most part. So.
And last but not least, puCK, I know that historically everyone has known that you are one of the strongest NA players and have been, but that hasn't really been able to translate to LAN results. I know that maybe has to do with the fact that you're known for being an emotional player, and sometimes maybe that can get the nerves can get the better of you, but you're doing really well here now, so how do you feel about that?
I feel like I've overcome a lot of difficulties I've had in the past. One that I can't defeat, though, is travel. Like, travel really burdens me. But other than that, nerves and being an emotional player aren't as much as a thing anymore. So I don't have as much working against me when going into LANs. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, puCK. I hope to continue seeing you play your games and crush more cans, hopefully. And of course, guys, we are going to go to a commercial break. But when we come back, we will see 2 Koreans go at it. It will be TY versus Bomber, so stay tuned.